Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? It's Matt from YoVideogames, and I'm here to talk about, well, something that's not very pleasant. Recently, there was an announcement made by Arc System Works. Now, here's where I kind of want to preface everything before I get in. Yes, this is about the BlazBlue cross-tag battle game, but I understand Arc System Works has its fan base. I understand even beyond Arc System, BlazBlue in particular has a particularly ravenous fan base. So, warning ahead, this is not going to be the kindest video to them altogether. But anyways, let's just get to the meat of this. So, at the about a day or two ago in Japan, Arc System came out with details on the release date. So I guess that's kind of like the start off just the good part right there, where BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle will launch May 31st in Japan, in Asia, and June 5th in North America. Okay, so far so good. Nothing really a problem there. It's coming out on PlayStation 4, the Switch, and the PC on Steam. So that's all fine and dandy. However, they followed up this announcement by showing the trailer for the character Blake Belladonna from Ruby. I don't know nothing about Ruby. I know, like, the character name means nothing to me. I don't know shit about this character. But what I do know was that they announced that she's going to be the first DLC character. Now, I understand Ruby is an acronym for 4 characters from this show, she being the B in the RWBY. And the thing that's odd about that is that the red and the white, I don't know their names. Ruby, I think, is one. I actually don't know the names. The red and the white are in the base game, but the other two that make up the title of the show are now going to be DLC, the black and yellow. So that right there is just kind of like mind-blowing on its own. But here's where it gets real fucked up. And that is, Arc System clarified that 20 characters will be playable in the base game with an additional 20 planned as downloadable content. You're hearing that right. So the total roster for the game is planned to be 40 characters, half of which are DLC. And so they're setting it up like this. With the first DLC will be Blake, and then there'll be 3 character packs. There'll be 6 of them. Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of 3 character packs, DLC character sets, and then one final DLC singular character, which is probably yellow from what I'm guessing. I don't know her name, Yang or something? I don't know. You guys have to forgive me on this one. Here's where it gets really particularly fucked up, because this on itself wouldn't necessarily be like a crisis if it was just, okay, we're releasing the game early, and then kind of like, as the characters get done, we'll throw them in. Well, here's where it gets really fucked up. So we don't have any sort of, I don't know who's publishing or localizing it for the West, but I don't think we have any idea on what it's going to cost in America, but we do know what it's going to cost in Japan, which generally tend to be overly inflated, so maybe it might be, cheaper in America. So that is a possibility, but we do know that it's going to cost 5,800 yen at retail in Japan at launch for the base game. That's about $58 if you want to be very, very rough. Yen fluctuates, and then it'll be 53.70 yen via download. So again, about $54. Very, very loose, rough, exchange. There will also be a BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle limited box. I don't think that was given a price, but that has a special box with special collaborative illustration by Tochimichi Mori, Shigenori Sojima, Seiichi Yoshihara, and Ein Lee from Rooster Teeth. These are all artists for the different series, I'm assuming. All this information comes our way from Gematsu. I just wanted to throw that in. Here's where it gets fucked up. The second bullet point listed thing for their Cross Tag Battle limited box is additional character all-in-one pack download code. What does that mean? Additional character all-in-one pack means that, obviously, these characters are going to be paid DLC. So half the fucking roster is going to be paid DLC. 20 at base, 20 more will be paid DLC, because obviously you wouldn't have a download code of a character all-in-one pack if it wasn't going to be an extra purchase. So obviously you get an all-in-one download code if you buy the big limited box. You get an acrylic standee, PS4 version only, multi-storage pouch, Switch storage or Switch version only, art book, and all of them. Yada yada. This this is not the way to do this, guys. Like, I understand Arc System Works is a small publisher, or, well, actually, I think they do publish self-publishing games. I'm not sure how they publish their games in Japan, but I do know that Arc System Works, they're a small developer. They don't make a lot of money. Their games don't sell. I hope people don't get hung up on this when I say their games don't sell, because when I say their games don't sell, I'm talking relative in terms of just about every other fighting game that isn't heavy on the anime aesthetics. It's not a slant against anime, that's just a fucking fact, is that the best-selling fighting games are Street Fighter. Tekken 3 is technically the second best fighting game of all time. 7 has done okay, it's sold about 3 million. But I mean, and if you want to get real technical, like, the best-selling fighting games right now are NetherRealm fighters. Mortal Kombat 9, Mortal Kombat X, Injustice, Injustice 2, those games have sold phenomenally. They've sold way better than Street Fighter, way better than Tekken, and Street Fighter and Tekken are selling in, you know, the low millions, 2-3 million each. Arc System Works games, until Dragon Ball comes out, none of them have, I don't think any of them have ever cracked 1 million. This is not a slant on the games, it's just stating the simple fact that I understand these are developers that they don't make a lot of money. They sell to a fan base that's very loyal to them, but they are not a giant multi-million seller franchise. They are not standing toe-to-toe with the NetherRealms and the Capcoms and the Namcos of the fighting game world. They just fucking aren't. That being said, this is not the fucking way you do this. Obviously, I've noticed a lot of people really pissed off about this, and understandably so. I think this is outrageous, technically, you know, just plain and simple. But you know, there's been a lot of comparisons made and things thrown about. I mean, again, like, you have a franchise in the game Ruby, which, you know, it's an acronym for 4 characters, and only 2 of them are in the base roster, and 2 have to be paid DLC. The other part that's really fucked up about all this is that Cross-Tag Battle is a game that mixes BlazBlue, Unial, Undernight, Inbirth, whatever the fuck it is. It all just sounds like code names for Planned Parenthood to me. And then the other one was Persona 4 Arena. So, in other words, most of these characters are not new to this game. I believe the only new characters are the Ruby characters, the red and the white. You know, again, forgive me, I don't know what their names are. But, you know, 20 characters, 18 of which are just taken from another game. Now, I do want to say this, like, just throwing a character sprite into a fighting game doesn't mean no work is required. Tons and tons of actual testing for, especially for like a tag battle style game, have to be done even if you have a fully completed character sprite and character artwork and yada yada. All kinds of work has to go into hitboxes and checking and testing and testing and testing. So it's not a simple measure of, hey, you know, they're just being lazy here. It's like they do have to do a lot of work to make sure all 4 of these series character sprites match up and work and don't completely bug the game or break the game. But that being said, hey, the actual animation is done. It's all about, at this point, it's all about hitboxes and you know, all that, the mechanics and stuff, and the fundamentals of the fighting system, yada yada. So it's not, I mean, you know, it reminds me of when people were throwing a fucking fit when Killer Instinct was announced. It was only going to be 6 characters at launch, and 8 eventually, you know, but you paid $20 and you got 8 characters. But the thing was about Killer Instinct was that it was $20, so it wasn't a lot, but that was a completely ground-up game. That was a game using an in-house engine that was completely brand new. Everything was being made completely from scratch for that game. Everything. Nothing was borrowed. So it had to be completely brand new, and that was from another very, very small team, which I count myself lucky enough to have, you know, worked with in some small capacity on that game. But I thought it was kind of ridiculous to say, hey, you know, $20 for that, and then it was technically free to try, and it was, if you wanted, you could only pay $5 for one character and enjoy everything the game had to offer with just one selectable character. And this is really the way, like, they should have maybe gone with this. And I said this over 5 years ago, and people got really mad at me when I said this, but it really, I think I've been justified when some fighting games have done it, such as Killer Instinct and Dead or Alive 5. Fighting games need to really look into adopting a better method of content delivery. I said years ago, like, you know, fighting games should look into potentially offering, like, the base game and either one character for free, or maybe do a thing like Dead or Alive does, where, like, they offer you, I believe, like a sampler of like 4 or 5 characters, and I don't even know. I think it's either very cheap or it might actually be like a trial version of the game. So you're limited, but you're able to test your waters a bit. You know, this is something fighting games need to look at. Like, maybe you can download the game for free, but you can't really access anything but practice and training. And you can play any character in practice or training. And then you can spend $5 per character if you want, or you can spend like $20 for the base roster, no frills, no nothing else. And then like $40 if you want like extra costumes, extra modes, or what, you know, something like that. But there really needs to be a better way of doing this, because this is not good. This is legitimately terrible. This is in no way is this advantageous to the consumer, because again, if we're going just off what we know of the price of the game at $58 for the retail copy, 50 like so we can say, you know, 60 retail, 55 online for a game that's using mostly borrowed assets for half the for 20 characters, and then we have to pay extra money for 20 more. You know, and then if you look at what the character roster is, it's missing like a huge chunk of characters from a lot of their games. You know, from Unio, BlazBlue, Persona, and it's like, you know, you're basically getting half the roster of each game. Like looks like that's how they're kind of splitting it here. It's like, hey, we're gonna have this cross battle, tag battle game, and it's only gonna be half the characters of each, and you have to pay another extra fee on top of the $60 or $55 to get the other half of the game. Like, I'm sorry, like, you can love these games as much as you want, but this is not the way to do it. This is shady as all hell, and I know I'm sticking my hand into a fucking furnace here with the fucking like fervent ass fan base that BlazBlue has, but let me be clear here. Just because it has a fervent fan base, just because Arc System Works is a poor, underappreciated, underrated developer, and they are, that is true, that is all true, that's not going to stop me from pointing out when they fuck up, and they have, from all accounts from this, seemingly fucked up hard. Now, in the West, they could maybe, hey, if they release the game for $40, then it's $20 for the all-in-one pack, making it $60 for all 40 characters. That's totally fine. Or if it was 30 and 30. I think the better way of doing this is that the base game should cost $30, and then if you want the all DLC character download code, that should cost another $30. So boom, you know, 40 characters, $60. That is the correct way to go about this. I think honestly the better way of going about this is, if these characters aren't done, then delay the fucking game. Like, there's no reason to put the game out like early. I have heard it's for tournament reason purposes, but I mean, I don't think that's ever a good idea. I don't think it really did any Street Fighter V any favors for pushing the game out as early as that game did when it launched in February. But but the other weird thing is that, again, many of the characters that are coming in the 20 character DLC are probably characters that are already finished technically from an artistic standpoint, sprite standpoint, from, you know, BlazBlue, Unio, and Persona 4 Arena. Those are probably all done. Like, only Blake and the yellow character, I believe her name is Yang, I believe they'll be the only new ones. And we have a trailer for Blake already, meaning that her work is mostly done, if not completely done animation-wise. So this, again, just strikes me as, this is bad. This is like, we're going to try to gut, you know, as much as we can from the fan base, because we know how fucking, you know, loyal it is. So, I mean, we're going to try to get as much money as possible out of them. That's fucked up, personally. You know, even if you're, you know, not doing, even if you're not the, you know, the Tekkens or the Street Fighters, like, you should set an example by being better than them, not worse. Like, this is ridiculous. Again, I don't know. Like, again, this is not really my fight, because I don't play any of the 3 games in it, and I know nothing about Ruby, so not my particular fight. I wasn't really planning on buying the game anyways, which, again, why are you even making this video then? Well, I just kind of wanted to point out that, like, look, I don't have to necessarily be a fan of this to point out, like, guys, this is not cool. I look at this and saying, you guys are hurting your fan base, and that's not cool, because BlazBlue has cool character designs. It really does. You know, and it's been a long-running, you know, series, and, you know, it's got its fans, and it didn't get those fans by being weird and shady like this. I mean, I know there's a billion versions of, you know, BlazBlue, you know, Chrono Phantasma, you know, Mickey's Fantasia, you know, Phantasmagoric, World of Color, whatever version of BlazBlue they're on now, Chrono Trigger Happy. I don't know, but the point is that, you know, it's got a fan base and it has cool characters. Why would you do this to people who were really excited from its Evo announcement? This is not cool. Like, my thing is, like, look, you can do one or two things. You can push the game back, wait till all 40 are done, 60 bucks, boom. Or release it, 30 bucks for the 20 characters, 30 bucks for the other 20 characters. So in other words, you're still only spending $60 in the end. But charging $60 for 20 characters and then extra money for more, not okay. I don't know why it would be okay. I guess, you know, there's really not more else to discuss here other than this is bad. And I don't know how else to really get the word out other than, I guess, keep hammering Axis games, keep hammering Arc Systems, and just being like, try to be respectful, not be like, you know, threatening, because that doesn't do anyone any good. Just be like, okay, look, just try to tell them, like, hey, I'm a huge fan, but I cannot support this decision on your pricing and release structure for the game. Like, that's the best way to do it. Just to say, like, I'm a fan, I've bought in your past games, but I cannot support this current, you know, endeavor. I cannot support this price structure, this release structure. So that's the best thing I guess you can do as a fan, is just kind of just keep letting them know, but, you know, respectfully, not like a dick. You know, don't be like me. So I guess that's all I got to say. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, if you're gonna be really pissy about it and you know, try to hurl personal insults, you know, you're probably just gonna have your comment deleted. So just don't do that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I hope things get ironed out before release of this game, because that just sucks for the fan base that it does have. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the channel. Later, dudes.